Hey, hi! Welcome to Shop Adventures number 5. Can you imagine? You want to know more about that thing that they say isn't here to take my place, but, well, hopefully not. Hopefully you'll get to see me a little longer. Anyway, if you want to know more about him, his name's Adam. You can just please click the link below, and he can discuss that with you. Thank you. In this week's video, the topics we're going to cover: we're going to get into machining the oil-impregnated bronze bushings. Those bushings, they're for our German green machine part from last week's video. We're going to machine those, and believe it or not, we've never machined oil-impregnated bronze before. Pat's developed a special little mandrel he bought. We machined it down. It holds the bushings perfectly from the inside out on the lathe. That's really critical for the alignment of these two bushings, so that the spindle of the drill, little micro drill press, fits in there perfectly. He's going to dive into that and really show you how he does it. He's then going to go ahead and machine you those bushings. We think they look really good when they're done. They even fit really well. Just a right nice snug fit. We're going to do all of that assembly starting up shortly in the in our workshop area. Not the machine shop now, but in the workshop area. The workshop area, that's an area that's very clean. It's fine for doing finite little work. It's fine for doing micro machining. And it's really good for reassembling or assembling these machines, because we're going to start, first thing we're going to start doing is we're going to start building the spindle. And we're going to do some spindle rebuilding. We're going to do some indicator rebuilding. I've got to fix one that's not working. And we're going to do a couple of headstocks for the 11 lathes and a few other things. So it's going to start getting a little more fun for us, and hopefully for you. You know, if this painting thing's done, we're just kind of over that, but it is just mandatory. You have to prep your parts perfectly. You have to do this painting and all the repairs and stuff from these old vintage machines in order to bring them all the way to full accuracy, which is what's going to be required for us to machine the products we're going to make on these very machines, so we can offer them to you in the future. So please come along and continue to follow us on this great journey. Hey Patrick, well, what are we doing about that micro drill press?
Yes, we're almost there to assemble, but we've come across a problem. And let me explain. This is the main part of our micro drill press, obviously. And this is our spindle. Really quick, this is a WW 8mm collet spindle. You can see where there's a collet end, and then a drawbar, you know, inserts from the top. And the way this works is there's two bronze sleeve bearings that gets insert on the top and then on the bottom like this. And then the spindle gets inserted through the bottom. But the problem is because this drill press is so old and just from years of use, there's been a lot of wear on these bearings, so there's a lot of slop. It's too loose and we won't get our accuracy anymore. And we don't. We've played with this drill press and tried using it, and yeah, it's just that we just can't get good tolerances. So what we're going to try doing is we're going to try machining our own bushings ourselves. But the challenge is we've never machined this type of material before. This material, these are new bronze bearings here, and what these are is these are oil impregnated bronze sleeve bearings, are also called oil light bearings. And what makes them special is it's a very porous, it has very porous properties, and it's impregnated with oil, so that way it always provides lubrication for the spindle. Without that, you know, if you ran it dry, you know, it'd wear out pretty quickly. And one of the things we have to focus on when we machine this is we have to use a really sharp cutter. If you use a dull cutter, what happens is the material, you start rubbing, and you start rubbing the material over the pores. And by doing that, you lose your lubricating properties. So we gotta be really careful. In our case, when you order these bushings, you order them in different dimensions. And obviously, you know, they won't have the exact dimension that you need. What you do is you get the closest you can to what's available, and then you machine the portion to dimension. And in our case, we're fortunate that I was able to find the ID dimension, which is 12 millimeter, but the OD dimension on the new bearing, we have to remove 1 millimeter. And then we just have to shorten it really slightly. If you see on this one, not too bad. But if I grab the other one, this one's actually a little shorter. And then in addition to that, both of these bearings have oil holes that we also have to drill. But that's not a problem. The problem is, you know, for us, the challenge is machining this and not affecting the lubricating properties. So I think we're going to give it a shot, and we're going to go over to our lathe now, and let's try machining it.
Hey, Patrick.
Yes.
Hey, it's pretty exciting today, huh? We get to actually machine that bronze for that very old vintage micro drill press that we have. I can't wait to get started this morning.
Yes, finally. Okay, how we're going to start is, the first step is, okay, this is an existing old bronze sleeve bearing, and this is a new one. And our first step is, we've got to just machine off 1 millimeter on the diameter. This is currently 17 millimeter, and this is 16 millimeter. And how we're going to do this, obviously, we don't have enough surface right here to put this in the chuck and machine it. We just wouldn't get good tolerances anyway, and there's just no way. So what we're going to do is we're going to use an expanding mandrel, and how this works is this inserts into the part, and then it has a screw, and we just tighten the screw and it expands the mandrel and holds it in place. Okay, the problem we have though, the first thing we need to do is we need to machine this down, because this the internal diameter of this is 12 millimeters. Okay, the closest I could find on the mandrel is a 1/2 inch, and a 1/2 inch equals to 12.7 millimeters. So we actually have to machine off 0.7 millimeters. And that's fine, these are made to be machined to size. So we're going to machine 0.7 millimeters, then we're going to be able to place the part onto it, and then we'll be able to machine the 1 millimeter off. Okay, and if we go over here, okay, this is a lathe we're going to be using. We do have a bigger lathe, as you can see. We don't have just micro machines. We do have some larger machines, and unfortunately they aren't used very often, but they're nice to have when we need them. And so we're going to use this chuck to hold the mandrel. And what's nice is, once we tighten this chuck, okay, the tolerances aren't going to be very good. As you know, 3-jaw chucks, they're going to be off about 2 or 3 thousandths, then that's on a good day. But once we mount this, machine off the 0.7 millimeters, okay, as long as we don't remove this mandrel from the chuck, this is going to be perfectly concentric. So we want to machine it, leave it intact, put the part on, do our machining. We're going to do 2 bronze bearings today, and then once we're done, we can confirm it's to size, then we'll remove this mandrel.
Well, I see somebody running around here smiling. I'm going to go in and find out what Pat has to say about his progress on that micro drill press bushings job. Hey Patrick, how are we doing?
Great. See, I'm happy. Yeah, we were very successful in machining the bearings, as you probably saw in the recent video footage. And so these are the old bushings right here, and then these are the new ones. And as you can see, we were able to machine them successfully to tolerance, and then we're also drilled the holes, which are the oil ports. And I'm not sure if I showed that. Let me bring this up. Okay, so the reason why for the oil ports is on the side of here. So these get inserted, and what we have to do is we have to match the hole to the hole in the casting. And then we have these little oil ports that screw on right here. So that's what we have to make sure, you know, we line up the hole, because, you know, you put the oil in here and we want to make sure it gets all the way down to the spindle. So, but we already tested, we already pressed these in and we matched the holes, and the holes are perfect. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better scenario. Everything's perfect. Even, you know, the tolerance, these are just like what we want. You know, they don't fall in, but you just slightly have to push them in. And you don't want them, these aren't tight press fit. You want them really snug, because on the other side you use a set screw, and the set screw here is what holds it in place. And just like the original, we want to copy the original, and that's how they did it. And another thing, if anybody's interested, the mandrel, as you saw in the video, you know, we're able to machine this down so that fits our bushing, and that worked just perfect. I mean, it worked just as planned, and so we're really happy with that. And for those interested, you know, I had mentioned in a prior video that you have to use a really sharp cutter. You know, if you don't use a sharp cutter, then you start moving the material over the pores, and that's not a good thing. And what we actually used is we used a DCGT insert, and I'll put some information on the screen. What that is, that's an aluminum insert, and it's a ground insert. And what's different about that insert as opposed to like a DCMT insert is this insert's ground, and it's a really sharp insert, as you'll see. I'll put both inserts on the screen, and I'll do a close-up so you can see the difference. But using that insert, it just cut it beautifully. I mean, I'll do a close-up of this as well, of the bushing, and you'll be able to see all the pores, you know. So yeah, we couldn't be happier. So as you can see with all the parts right here, these are all the parts that I brought out. So we're ready to start assembling this drill press, and we're actually going to start next week. So in the next week's video, not this Monday, but the following Monday, you'll be able to see this working, hopefully, and along with some others we're going to share. So that's it. Thank you.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed this week's video, and please don't hesitate to subscribe. And did you know, we really do value getting those comments. We love to answer any question you may have for us. Thank you.